Well, this is it. We've left Nebraska and the good life behind, and I'm crossing a line I've never crossed before. Here we go. I did it! For the first time ever, I've made it to South Dakota. I have never been to a Dakota before, but my son London over here, when I asked him earlier this year if you could go one place in the United States to see one thing, what would it be? He said he wanted to see those president heads. The ones at Mount Rushmore, which is also obviously a place I have never been, and hopefully today we are going to change all that. We're getting in the van and hopefully getting up out of these mighty prairies here in the United States and up into the legendary Black Hills. Yes, sir, this landscape certainly has changed. Come on, van, you can do it. You excited, buddy? Yeah. I hope you're excited. We're doing this for you. Oh my gosh, look, I see heads! I see heads! Holy moly, it's real after all. Seriously though, van, please don't let me down. Please don't let me down. All right. Wow. That is crazy. Where we woke up this morning, only an hour from here, there was nothing but flat prairie as far as the eye could see, and now look at all of this, and I cannot believe what I'm seeing over there. That is Mount Rushmore. I never thought I'd see it in person. I have to give London all the credit for this, because all those years I was traveling around in a band, we really had no reason to come to South Dakota at all. That's why I just thought, yeah, I'll probably never go up there. I'll probably never see that. And if I do, maybe I'll be an old man retired. But here we are, and I'm not even all the way old yet. The Mount Rushmore National Memorial. I have to admit, as much as, like London just said, it looks kind of like a theme park right here. Mainly referring to sort of the design of the entrance. He's like, it looks like Universal. It kind of did. I am actually really impressed. I guess there's a reason people like coming to this place, huh? Ooh, and maybe more than one reason. This is apparently a very good place for meditation and yoga. Weird. Now, my Mount Rushmore knowledge is limited and a little rusty, but I know the whole thing started with a historian named Doan Robinson, who first came up with the rough idea of carving the presidents into the mountains here to turn South Dakota into a tourist destination. And apparently it worked, because this place gets between 2 and 3 million visitors every year. To pull it off, Robinson contacted this guy, Gutzon Borglum, the sculptor who was working on Stone Mountain in Georgia, who, after modifying the plan slightly, began work on this in 1927. It took 400 workers 14 years and just under $1 million to carve the 60-foot high heads of the 4 presidents that made it onto the monument. Chosen for different reasons, of course, George Washington because he was the first president, Thomas Jefferson for the Louisiana Purchase and the Declaration of Independence, Teddy Roosevelt because of conservation and, you know, the industrial development of the United States, and Abraham Lincoln for the preservation of the Union. Check out the avenue of flags here we've been walking through. Supposedly this represents all 50 states, Washington, D.C., and some of the U.S. territories like Guam. They've got them all out here, folks. Just when it gets too hot, it keeps giving us a little shade. Of course, that has the unfortunate side effect of making the presidents look a little shady, huh? Nah, I'm just kidding. Now, the number one complaint you hear about Mount Rushmore, the number one thing you always hear spoken about it really by people who have been, is that the heads look smaller than they do, say, on television or in documentaries or on your calendar, for example. And I guess that's true because usually the photos you see of it are zoomed in on just the heads up there, and you don't see the whole mountain stretching away beneath them. So you are kind of tempted to ask, like, why place it up there? Why not place it somewhere lower down where the heads would look more impressive? And the reason is because the Mount Rushmore that we're seeing is actually completely unfinished. As I mentioned, they started in 1927 and took 14 years to complete the Mount Rushmore we know and love today, which means they finished work on it in 1941. And what else was going on in 1941? War all over Europe and Asia, all over the world, really. And sadly, that same year in 1941, Borglum, the sculptor, passed away in March. His son Lincoln was able to continue on the carving till its conclusion, but that double whammy of the original sculptor passing away along with funding running out, plus, not to mention the looming threat of the United States entering war, meant the presidents would just stay heads for now, Futurama style. And that's how they've remained for 80 years. Driving across Nebraska and the little bit of South Dakota that we've seen so far, it makes it really surprising just how many people are here at Mount Rushmore. I feel like I haven't seen this many people in years. Definitely helps explain why all the towns we passed through below Mount Rushmore were full of tourist traps and services, but we'll get to that later. Right now, London noticed that there's actually a trail going up the side of this amphitheater area, which means we just might get a closer look, if not a better view, of Mount Rushmore. It's apparently called the President's Trail and leads around to several sites, including the original classic historical viewing terrace, which is located slightly to the right of the modern viewing terrace. And I gotta say, it's a slight difference. Today there are trees in the way, but it is sort of a better angle on the President's. It looks like as you go on down, you've got several other historical stops, including this little monument to the big monument sculptor, sculpted by his own son. How meta. This does make it a lot more fun taking this little trail, because at first when we were just looking at the heads, I was like, cool, we've seen him. We'll be here for 20 minutes. So it kind of makes it a little more interactive, right? Yeah. Do you like this? We came all this way for you. You better like it. You'd better like these presidents. Speaking of sculptors, if we continue down the hill here, we arrive at the sculptor's studio, which apparently shows what the finished version of Mount Rushmore would have looked like. It has the model in there, but London and I cannot go inside to see it because apparently in the last couple of days, they've decided to reinstitute mask policies, and we've been traveling in the middle of nowhere and don't have any masks with us. So we'll stay outside and look at the view that Borglum would have had from his workshop. This was his view of his masterpiece. Oh, wait a minute. Plot twist. Finally, a spot with some free disposable masks for us. Yay, forgot how fun these were. Wow, look at the size of that model even that he sculpted. You see, this is the way they were supposed to look. Each one of these presidents was supposed to have clothes and a body. Well, except for Teddy Roosevelt up there. He just looks sort of shoved in. Something really cool between the talks, if you can kind of squat down in front of the big model, or prototype, I guess I should say, you can actually see the full-size Mount Rushmore out of the windows right next to the model of how it was originally planned. That's awesome. Uh-oh, they're starting to talk out here. Time for us to vamonos and head down the old dusty presidential trail. Oh boy. My old enemy, stairs. For whatever reason, with that weird heart problem I have, the one trigger for it is like stairs climbing elevation like this. Clearly London has no problem with them though. Stupid young, able-bodied, strong, I could still destroy you if I wanted to. All right, I can see George Washington. He'll inspire me to carry on. Whew, so far, it is worth it. It's definitely nice, the change of terrain from the flat cornfields I've been in for several days. We've got pine trees and granite boulders everywhere, beautiful views out of the side of the mountain, and it's very interesting actually to get a different perspective on the actual monument itself. It's nice to see it kind of from underneath like this. It definitely looks a lot bigger from the close-up viewing platform, that is for sure. Well, that's about as close as we can get, so we did it. There are several more little pullouts over here where you can get some different views up Washington's nose and at Lincoln's forehead and all that. Very interesting, but I suppose by now you guys have probably got the general idea. There's a couple more attractions, but really, look at this. This is what's standing out to me right now. The whole second half of this loop trail is virtually flat, which means we didn't have to go up any of those stairs at all. Let that be a lesson to all of you. If you come out to Mount Rushmore and you want to take the trail, go to the left. All right, we came, we saw, we bucket listed Mount Rushmore, which was pretty exciting, pretty freaking epic. And now, down back into other parts of the Black Hills to see what else we can get up to. I tell you what, man, if nothing else, it is beautiful up here. And that's the truth. All right, well, just down the mountain, not even a 5-minute drive, is the town of Keystone, where you'll say, oh, fudge! Because they've got everything in this town, from mini golf to scary ski lifts to zip lines, luges, wax museums, motels, fast food, and t-shirt shops. Just look at these happy t-shirts. And look at the selection, wow! The humor is off the charts. Would you look at the size of that selection? Ooh. Sick hats, tie-dye shorts, perfect for me. Boy, it's like they put that sign there specifically for you, isn't it? Now, like I showed you, the Black Hills is full of little towns and full of tourist attractions. We're not really on a Black Hills trip, so exploring all of it will have to wait till a future adventure. But even just wandering around a little bit, look at this. We got a blacksmith shop, we've got hand-carved wooden signs. You know how much I love those. T-shirts and sleeveless vests galore. And look at these fancy, fuzzy alpaca blankets. Ooh, please touch. Wow. That is the softest unicorn I have ever stroked. But better yet, my favorite thing when I'm in the mountains, and a thing they seem to have in abundance here, are wood carvings. Specifically, look at all these giant chainsaw carvings. And whenever I see chainsaw carvings, my favorite ones are always Bigfoot. And would you look at the size? Wait, no. Would you look at the size of this Bigfoot? Wait a minute. No. Would you look at the size of that Bigfoot? And I mean literally, would you? What we're looking at here is the world's largest wooden Bigfoot. It might be the world's largest Bigfoot if this other sign is correct. Either way, this is one big foot that's gonna be hard to top. I thought I'd seen it all in terms of chainsaw carvings, but this thing is made out of full trees. It is magnificent. It is glorious. This is the Bigfoot I've been looking for my entire life. Dang, and I thought you had big feet, kid. That isn't all, of course. They've got carved wooden cowboys and cigar store Gimberleys and a life-sized wooden carved eagle motorcycle. Apparently there's a twin of this in a Ripley's Believe It or Not somewhere. Hey, check it out. You're allowed to jump on. Oh yeah, I just made London climb up onto the wooden motorcycle. How do you feel now? Do you feel American?
Uncomfy.
Uncomfy?
There's a nest of something up there.
A nest of awesome. Watch how it's done. Check it out. Yeah, get your motor running. Hey, that on the highway. I feel like my shorts are a little too short for this. Dude, all of this stuff is impressive. But look at this. The evolution of the Bigfoot merry-go-round. That is impressive. Wait a minute. It's going from big Bigfoot to little Bigfoot. It's the de-evolution. Man, some of these are just beautiful works of art. Others are horrifying. Look at that. That is going to haunt me until the end of my days. As you know, I've been messing with some wood carving at home, and one thing I've learned very quickly from this place is apparently I've been seriously undercharging for my carvings. I didn't know wood carvings cost this much, although knowing now what goes into them, I can tell you it makes perfect sense. Look at this carved wooden hillbilly. One day I want to make one just like him. But before we get to that day, look at this. A gigantic wooden Keystone Rushmore chair. Look at the size of that throne. Dude, you look like an emperor. You look like the Emperor of America, London. Wow. So this is how Allie feels sitting in regular chairs. Weird. Now, as amazing as all of this stuff is, and as gorgeous as it looks out here, it is actually really hot, and we have been in the sun for a long time now. So, since we are sort of in a presidential theme today, we've decided to flee for cover in the National Presidential Wax Museum, which promises wax figures of all of the presidents. Ooh, look at this. Finally, it's my turn behind the podium. I just want to make one thing clear. I should never be in charge of anything. Ever. I'm an idiot. Oh, will you look at that. It's my old pal, George W. And here he is with Betsy Ross getting the first American flag made. Clearly, he's examining it with a critical eye. Look at this. You got John Adams sitting down on the left there, and Thomas Jefferson on the right. They're working on the Declaration of Independence, but both would become early presidents. Wow. I was kind of expecting it to be just sort of one wax figure at a time, but look at all of these guys. Good thing Van Buren's here. The Van Buren boys would be pretty upset if he wasn't. Here we have some of the more often forgotten presidents like Millard Fillmore, Andrew Johnson, Chester Alan Arthur, John Tyler, and lumped in with them is poor Gerald Ford. Guy could never catch a break. And by far our worst one, Andrew Jackson. Ugh, he looks mean and ugly. Oh, check this out. It's the Lincoln-Douglas debates. That's incredible. The likenesses in here are actually really good. Look at the way that Lincoln towers over Douglas. Man, it pays to be tall. Commanding presence. And speaking of commanding, we've got General Grant right there accepting the surrender of Robert E. Lee. In real life, though, Grant, who would later become president, of course, and get on the $50 bill, lucky dude, was not dressed so nicely at the actual surrender. Lee, however, was always the gentleman Lee, even if he was a little traitory. Ooh, look at these presidents. In those little boxes like that, almost looks like they're in old-timey caskets. They look dead. which I guess is appropriate because they are actually dead. This is really weird because you've got Custer heading out towards the Little Bighorn and a Sioux Council of War. These aren't presidents, but they are interesting. I gotta be honest though, we didn't really come in here because of the presidents. I mean, we're into presidents, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm into presidents. Presidents are cool, but it's mostly for the air conditioning, and we've been in the sun all day. We still look orange.
Yeah.
Both of us just, we're radiating heat. Look at this, we got Alexander Graham Bell in here, and Thomas Edison in the other room. Neither of them were president, but this guy was Rutherford B. Hayes. Oh, you all know this guy. There's Grover Cleveland in there, marrying his wife, Frances. June 2nd, 1886. That's a fact I know, right off the cuff of my brain. No, I'm lying, I read the sign. Oh, there he is, our 26th president. 2 terms, man. Theodore Roosevelt. Old Teddy, the bull moose. Look at that guy. He's not speaking softly or carrying a big stick right here. But he looks like he's thinking about it. Ooh, more presidential coffins. Creepy. Oh, good old President Taft. Our largest president. I recognized him without even needing to read the sign. He was a very famously girthy president, and there are a number of Taft chairs, specially built, specially designed chairs for the president whenever he would visit places all over the country. Sort of an interesting little subcategory of U.S. history. There's Woodrow Wilson there on the right. Here's Calvin Coolidge helping to dedicate Mount Rushmore. Topical, I like it. Now things are going in a crazy order because here we have George W. Bush after 9/11. There's President Truman over here getting us involved in the UN. Some people are still mad about that. FDR sitting next to one of the worst murderers in history. And no, I'm not talking about Churchill. And speaking of the Soviets, here's good old Ronald Reagan, the Gipper, probably telling Gorbachev a Soviet joke, judging by the way he looks like he wants to punch him. Ah, Eisenhower. I like Ike. And I especially like how they're all in little scenes like this instead of just standing around in a room. I mean, I do kind of wish I could get up close and personal with some of them, you know, and rub shoulders a little bit. Oh, this is a little gruesome. There's Lyndon B. Johnson getting sworn in right while Jackie Kennedy is next to him, still covered in blood. Not the happiest moment in presidential history. This one is much better when Nixon welcomed back Neil Armstrong, Buzz Aldrin, and anyone know the third one? No one ever remembers. Michael Collins. From outer space. Woo! Warren G. Harding does not look impressed. I just like how they didn't know what to do with some of the presidents. They just have them in these coffins. I cannot stop laughing at that. But remember how I said earlier the likenesses were really good? Not all of them were very good. Not unless George Bush Sr. and Jimmy Carter were both a lot uglier than I was led to believe. Oh man, George Bush looks horrible. That's so scary. I don't want to read those lips. Well, hey, welcome down to the White House. It's me, Bill Clinton. Y'all like presidents? I was one, you know. I was in here doing stuff in the Oval Office, and yeah, man, it's great. It's a great time. I got my fingers like this because I'm ready for some herbal remedies, you know what I mean? And McDonald's. I'm mad because I'm not president. Don't look at me, dude. Don't look at me, man. People voted for me. It was the hanging chads. Of course, things get even more recent than that, but we'll gloss over those. Because when it gets too recent, it turns from history into politics. All right, well, we've decided Keystone is awesome. I mean, it looks awesome. Look at that. It looks all old westy. There's trains. There's giant robots, attractions everywhere, but we are sort of cooked, and we need a little more rest and sustenance than it has to offer us right now. So we're heading down the mountain a ways to the town of Rapid City. As much as I loathe universal sameness, I am glad there's a Walmart everywhere now. I mean, for one thing, they're all thankfully air-conditioned. But because I have celiac disease and it's pretty darn sensitive, it makes it very difficult for me to eat out pretty much anywhere. So usually I carry all my own food with me. I try to go to grocery stores, most of which now have some gluten-free stuff or have stuff that I happen to know is gluten-free. But in the last couple of years, Walmart, even though I know it's not cool to like Walmart, has gotten pretty good, even in the rural areas, at stocking gluten-free stuff. Look at this one. Yes, snacks. Look at the snacks. Yes, you're feeling snacky? Yes. And much more importantly than the sort of dry stuff I just showed you, they're getting better and better at having frozen stuff so that if we get a motel to sleep well in that has a microwave, I can sometimes eat pretty well. And London eats a lot better than if we were just stopping at fast food places, which we can't do anyways because the windows don't roll down in the van. Usually you can find one or another of these foodies bags. They have 3 cheese ravioli at almost every Walmart, but that is not as good as this, which is also not as good as the chicken parm that they don't have. And then these, if you can find these at Walmart or Sprouts, these are the jam. Oh. The best part is if you have a Ziploc and a cooler with ice in it, they'll be good for about 3 days. And I do happen to have those things. So that ensures I'll have something good to eat for a while. Plus we always have assorted stuff like canned chili and canned food that I can eat. And I have a stove and pots and pans in the van, so I could cook anywhere in a pinch. But tonight we are getting a motel to sleep well in with a microwave, so we're gonna eat like kings. Then in the cooler for a snack, we are always keeping little packs of turkey and string cheese. Trying to be healthy. We're trying to lose our quarantine weight. Which is less a problem for London with his teenage metabolism, and for me, I've thinned out quite a bit, except where it counts. I keep all my padding like here. Weird. All right, boy, let's get out of here. Agreed? Yes. Oh, I found out it was over 100 degrees today. That's why we were so cooked. It's still 97 even right now. Yeah, dude, air conditioning would be very appreciated right now. Ugh. What we need, London, is a quality place to rest our heads. I know. How about this? I know. Here we go, dude. Look at that. At least there's a microwave. A TV from like 2007. That's good. There's a reason it's not called top quality. But we've already done our bed bug inspection. And as long as there's a fridge and a microwave, we're good to go. For one night, we are Rapid City-ins. All right, we've now fattened ourselves. We've got the History Channel, which is a rare luxury for us. We saw the heads. We're filling out some postcards for family and friends. So I think we've done all we can do. What say you, London? Have we done our duty?
Yes.
Then we can finally hotel and sleep well. See you next time. And now a patriotic speech from Julio.
That was beautiful, Julio.
Yeah. America. Oh, hey. What? What are you waiting for? All right, but just one more. Would you look at the size of those noggins? They're gargantuan. They're like an orange on a toothpick. Oh, go and fetch the paper, George Washington, if you can, hauling that gigantic cranium about.